Two Wheels Paradise family, how are you doing today, my friends? I have a different thing today. As you know, my work is to introduce beautiful bikes to you and tell you about all those beautiful stuff that you need to know about motorcycles. And today we have the 2015 BMW F800 GS Adventure. 2015 GS Adventure. This thing is tall like a horse, come on, and also very, very powerful. We are going to talk a lot about this thing as we move on. Have you subscribed to my channel? You cannot be watching my videos without subscribing. Come on, be fair to me. Anyway, I'm kidding. I just want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Please stay with me because I do a lot of motorcycle stuff on this channel. And you cannot afford to miss anything. You can't afford to miss anything. So, stop the jokes. Yeah, so we have the 2015 BMW F800 GS Adventure. Pure German engineering. And today, Two Wheels Paradise is doing something incredible because for the first time since this channel was started, I am reviewing a BMW. Yeah, for the first time, I'm reviewing a BMW. Listen to this. Perfect. I'm reviewing a BMW for the first time in the history of this channel. A friend of mine called Edwin, with a YouTube channel called Motor Ventures, I'm going to pin it in the description of this video, allowed me to ride his 2015 BMW GS Adventure F800. This is the bigger version of the BMW GS 800. This is called the GSA. It is a little bit heavier, a little bit taller. The engine is the same with the F800, but the suspension is different. So it's structurally, this one is quite different from the 800. Even if you put both of them together, you can tell this is bigger. Other than that, this motorcycle runs beautiful, and it is also a very powerful bike. Very, very powerful. This is a sport bike in an adventure body. We are on gear 3, 80 kilometers an hour. Just look at this. Woo! Almost 120. From 80 to almost 120 without shifting in like 3 seconds. So this thing is powerful. This is not a toy. Very, very powerful. BMW have been producing these bikes for a while, and surprisingly, this engine that we have here is the same engine that we have in the BMW GS 700. It is also the same engine that we have in the BMW F650 twin. There is a GS 650 with a twin cylinder. It runs on the same engine. Then we have the Satao, which is a single cylinder. We have the Fundura, which is a single cylinder. Then we have the Dakar, which is also a single cylinder. But there is one with a twin cylinder called 650 twin, and it is this one. The same engine, different ECU, different suspension, different wheels, but the engine is the same. I don't know how BMW decided to do that, but it is something incredible. They know what they're doing. The fact that they run on the same engine tells you that this engine is reliable, and that's why BMW took the risk of planting this engine in so many of their models. So yeah, it is powerful. The company claims that this one can produce around 85 horsepower and around 80 Newton meters of torque. I don't want you to look more at the horsepower. I want you to look at the torque. 80 Newton meters of torque is serious. Yeah, let's start from there. That one is serious. It is enough torque that can run a vehicle. Yes, and you can feel it. Look at this. That is pure torque. That is pure torque. Pure torque. This is pure torque. This thing is powerful. Very, very powerful and also very smooth. The fact that it lands on a parallel twin makes the bike very, very smooth. I hope so. Mzuri, mzuri. Nice. Ah, that's a beautiful, beautiful traffic cop. Very beautiful. Well, stop this. Anyway, back to the discussion. 80 Newton meters of torque is something you can feel. You can tell there is 80 Newton meters of torque. Yeah, because this thing is heavy, especially top heavy. But it is very, very balanced because the tank is not here. The fuel tank is not this one. This one is just a compartment for the computers, the harness, some battery. Yeah, this is where now the powerhouse is. This is where the powerhouse is. The tank is somewhere behind. And it is having a very big tank. Actually, it is 24 liters. I think the GS version comes with around 16-17 liters of fuel. But the GSA version, the one I have here, comes with a big tank because now the GS Adventure is meant for long travels. They designed this one for long travels. So they gave it a bigger tank for long distance traveling without fueling a lot. So it has a 24-liter tank. Surprisingly, this thing doesn't consume a lot of fuel like an 800. Because when you're riding normally on the highway, 110, 120, 130, this bike is giving you around 24 kilometers per liter. 24 kilometers per liter. And when you ride it slowly like what I'm doing now, because I'm just cruising at 60 kph, this bike could be giving me almost 30 kilometers a liter right now. Right now, the way I'm riding, I could be getting like 30 kilometers a liter. That is the surprising part about this bike. It could give you 30 kilometers a liter. So when you're doing long distance, you'll go to 600, almost 700 kilometers without fueling. Yeah, it can give you like almost 700 kilometers. Almost 700 kilometers. If you do the mathematics about 26 or something, give it 600 plus kilometers before you fuel again. Which now is incredible because you can do very, very long distance riding. Very long distance riding without even having to carry fuel jerry cans all over the place. Yeah. Although they make the bike look more beautiful and appealing, they also become a baggage because you have 5 liters here, 5 liters. That's a whole 10 liters of weight you are handling on your motorcycle. So sometimes it is good to have the inbuilt tank being bigger on itself than having extra fuel. This is in Loiro, Kiambu County in central Kenya, and we have very beautiful jungles here. But you have also to be very careful because you see they are so bright you can't even see what is coming from the other side of the corner. And we have a lot of dams. I'm very sure you have seen. We have a lot of dams here, over there. So like dams are all over the place. So you might expect a hippo or something. I don't know. Yeah. So the GS Adventure 800 2015 version. Very, very smooth engine. Very, very reliable. There is no history of these bikes breaking down for just petty issues. If you are a soft rider like myself, people who don't really push bikes to their limits and stuff like that, you can, what the hell? You can actually get a good mileage with this bike before you start repairing stuff. But for engine wise, this bike is solid like a bull. This thing is solid, very, very solid. So there is that advantage of that it is not consuming a lot of fuel. It is not likely to break down for some petty reasons. It is also very stable, so you don't have chances of just dropping it. It is a bike that you can learn for so many years with. Okay, they have an issue with I think the magneto coils. If you put a lot of accessories that are drawing power from the main system, this one can bring a lot of issues with the charging system. But that one is not an issue with BMWs only. It is an issue with almost all bikes that run on magneto coils. You know, we have bikes that run on alternators like vehicles. Those ones don't have any issue. Even if you put 25 auxiliary lights, they cannot complain. You see the dams I was talking about? That's another one. You might expect a hippo or something coming from there, a snake or anything. So you have to be careful when you're doing these twisties. So these bikes are known to be very solid, very, very solid, very safe, because the brakes are also advanced. We have another dam over here. Yeah, that's another dam. They are very solid, very, very solid. The power wise, these bikes produce enough power for you to do whatever you want. This is like a sport bike. Yeah, this is how this thing looks like now. From here, you can see it's quite a tall bike. Quite a tall bike. This is the 2015. One thing you realize about this bike when you look at it is that some things look inverted. Some things don't look like they are praised normally where other things are praised by other manufacturers. And that one is a secret that BMW has. Look at this. This is not the fuel tank. This is not the tank. This is where you have the powerhouse. This is where you have the ECUs. They are here. The batteries are here. This is the main powerhouse. The tank is here to the back. And this tank is so huge. And it is plastic. Very, very tough plastic. Something you cannot just damage. This is very, very tough plastic. This is 24 liters. Because it is the GSA version, it comes with a very huge tank. All this thing is fuel tank. All the way from here, coming all the way. This whole thing is a tank. All the way to this other side. This whole thing is a tank. It's 24 liters. Something else you're going to note that it is inverted is the side where the chain is. The chain. It is on the opposite side. Normally you find brakes on this side. This is the right side of the motorcycle. You find the brakes, but on this one you find the chain. The brakes are on the other side. Look at where the exhaust is. On the opposite side. Come on. Supposed to be here. Okay? For Hondas, Kawasaki's, Yamahas and everything else, all Japanese motorcycles, you find that the exhaust is here, the brakes are here. But now we have things inverted. We have them inverted. For some reason they found it good to invert things. And for the sake of this chain now to operate with this engine, they had to invert, to interchange the gearbox side, the magnetos and the crash side. Everything in this bike is inverted. Okay? Normally, this is where you find the crash. This is where you find the crash for other motorcycles. But here, this is where the charging happens. This is where the magneto is. The magneto coil is here, and this is the regulator. We also call it the rectifier, this one. So you find that things are inverted here. Things are inverted. So you expect to find crash on the other side. The crash is on the other side. The engine oil filler cap. This is where you fill the engine oil, not the other side. You see, so things are inverted here. But the gear shifting happens on this side, and the rear brakes are on the other side. Other than that, look at the ignition. Here is where the ignition is, not here. It is here. Okay, it is here. Some few things like the hard buttons, they look inverted somehow. There's a lot of things that don't operate standard as how you find in Japanese motorcycles. But from there, the motorcycle is just a normal bike. Actually, this one feels so basic. It feels so basic when you're riding it, but it is also very powerful. So you also have to understand it has power. 80 Newton meters of torque and 85 horsepower. This is too much. This bike is no longer in production, this version. The newer 800 that they have just released, the newer 800 they have released and launched in some countries. Even in our country, Kenya, it was launched. The 800 in 2024 is not coming with this engine. This is 798cc parallel twin. This engine is used in this 800, 800 GSA, 700 and 650 twin. They use the same engine but different ECUs. So they are tuned differently to produce different amount of power. They are no longer using this engine. BMW is using the engines from China, Lonsin Motors. The same company that produces Vogue motorcycles is the one that is producing engines for BMW. So the new 800 is not using this engine. They are using the engine that we have in the GS900, and it is the same engine that we have in Vogue DSX 900. So we have Vogue and BMW using the same engines because they are produced by the same company. This bike lands on 17-inch wheel spokes. It has a tube. This one has a tube. 150, 70, 17, 90, 90, 21. Okay, yeah, this is 19, 90, 21 tube wheels. So this one has tubes, but the rims are so tough. It's very difficult for you to break these rims. This bike comes, the way you look at it, comes with a windshield, but this is not stock. This is aftermarket. I believe the stock one was broken at some point. Doesn't come with this one. This is aftermarket. This headlight is not stock. This is aftermarket. The LED lands very well. These ones come stock, but these ones are added. Okay, this bike has a few things that the owner has added, including the GPS navigator, that thing. A few things that the owner has added just to make the rides more favorable. Like you can carry stuff, you can do whatever you want. But I want you to notice the position of this thing. The regulator. It is mounted somewhere outside, and it has a very good reason for this. If you hide these things under the plastics, it tends to overheat when it is charging your battery and it dies. So for you to avoid having those issues of failing charging system, you are advised to get this thing out. Somewhere it can attract wind when you're riding, and it is going to cool down as you ride on the way. It can't overheat. So that's a secret that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. This thing is around 215 kilos without the boxes and without the fuel, without any fluids. Dry weight around 215 kilos. So when you put fuel, 24 liters, you put oil, almost 4 liters, you put coolant, another like 2 or something liters. You put boxes, you put bags, crash guards. This thing is going to come to almost 270 kilos. By the end of the day, you come to almost 270 kilos. But when you're riding it, you don't even feel it. You don't feel that weight. You do not feel that weight. You don't feel it. So, a very, very stable motorcycle, also very fast. Very fast. They do not have a history of breaking down easily. They are known to be workhorses. Actually, the most basic BMW GS bikes, they run like this. This is one of the most basic. It is a tall bike. You can also see the ground clearance. The ground clearance here is something. This bike is quite tall.
The suspension travel is pure off-road. Look at this. Pure off-road. You can jump and you can bottom out all this. This is huge. The same case with the rear suspension. And this one is adjustable. So yeah, you can adjust it if you want. You can adjust this suspension if you want. The sound on this motorcycle is incredible. Let me give you this. The sound on this motorcycle is incredible. I want to make sure we are on neutral. No, we are not. We are on, yeah, perfect. Now, let me remove this thing. And doesn't really vibrate. Look at my helmet, my gloves. Look at these things, they are not even vibrating. So it's a very smooth bike, meant for long distance riding. So it's quite smooth for long distance riding. So this one is going to favor you if you are a person who wants to have a lot of time out there, both on tarmac and off-road. Much has been said about this bike. You can find all the questions you have been answered by other YouTubers, people who have spent a lot of time with these bikes. They are good bikes. So for me, it was just a sneak preview of what it is. This bike belongs to a friend of mine, Motor Ventures. I'm tagging the channel in the description down here so that you can also follow him and subscribe, and you're gonna find a lot of beautiful stuff that he does with this motorcycle. We are based in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, and these bikes are so many here. We have so many of them, and I would also wish to own one at some point in my life. See you around. Let's continue riding. GS 800 Adventure from 2015. This thing is a sport bike in an adventure body. Nobody can change my mind. Sport bike, but looking like an adventure. See you around. Let's get moving.